Hey guys, it's 6:40 on October 7th, 2017. Let's hear what CNN has to say and then compare it to some reality.
Right now, sustained speed's still the same at 90 miles per hour. That's a high-end Category 1, and it still has the time and space to get to Category 2 strength because it only needs to get up to 96 miles per hour. It's currently 140 miles south of Biloxi. It's about 50 miles away from the mouth of the Mississippi in Plaquemines Parish. We're seeing some convection on the northern end of what is an eye you can see on radar. Hard to detect in this infrared imagery or any satellite imagery, but it is still making its way northward, and it's going to bring with it some pretty good winds. But the storm surge, I think, is the biggest issue right now.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit here and hear what he had to say about this eye. He's telling us that it's hard to detect on satellite, but I want you to see if you can detect it on the radar that he's showing, if my computer will cooperate.
An eye you can see on radar, hard to detect in this infrared imagery or any satellite imagery.
So let's hear this again. Let's back up a little bit more.
An eye you can see on radar. Convection on the northern end of what is an eye you can see on radar. Hard to detect in this infrared imagery or any satellite imagery, but it is still making its way northward, and it's going to bring with it some pretty good
There's
winds.
the radar.
But the storm surge, I think, is the biggest issue right now. If you notice the outer bands making their way in.
Do you guys see an eye on this radar? He said it's an eye you can see on radar. This is the radar, folks. They're not showing you the bottom part, but I'm going to show you why they're not showing you the bottom part. Let's look at IntelliCast. This is the radar. This is the exact same radar that he is showing, okay? So to all my trolls, buzz off, because this is the same radar. These are the same freaking radar, guys. If you think this is an eye, you guys are blind, which is probably why you don't know what an eye looks like. Okay? This is not a hurricane. I'm sorry, folks. This is not a hurricane. This may pack a punch of a hurricane somehow, but it's not a hurricane. And I'm going to show you that it's not a hurricane. It hasn't registered those 90-mile-an-hour winds that he was just talking about in the very beginning of this. Okay? Listen to what he says.
Right now, sustained speed's still the same at 90 miles per hour. That's a high-end Category 1, and it still has the time and space to get to Category.
Sustained speeds of 90 miles an hour. Let's go to the NOAA Storm Special Atlantic Hurricane Nate. This shows us all the buoys in the water, okay? This is the column that tells us the wind speeds. In order for it to be 90 miles an hour, we're going to go over here to see what that number would be. 90 miles an hour in knots, because NOAA buoys are read in knots. 90 miles an hour would be 78 knots. Let's take a peek at the data for the NOAA buoys. Here's our wind speed in knots. We're going to start here at the top. I'm just going to scroll through this as fast as my computer will let me. Remember, it is the second column in from these dashes, okay? So I'm just going to scroll down and you guys are going to see we do not see anything even close. Knots. These are 70, 20, 5, 20, 13, 20, 17. My computer is freezing. That's why I'm having a hard time going very fast with this. Remember, it's this column right here. We're going to just keep scrolling down. You guys can pause the computer. You can pause this video and take a peek on your own. My computer just keeps freezing. I apologize for that. But we're going to go all the way down, and you're going to see that not one of these buoys, which has wind speed indicators on them, have caught winds anywhere even close. Guys, there are hundreds and hundreds of buoys in the Gulf of Mexico here. We do not have any of them. Not one. Not a stinking one, as my computer continues to freeze. We do not have a stinking one of them that is registering these wind speeds. Not one of them. Pause the video. Watch for yourself, you guys. Roll down. Scroll down with me. Take a look here. 34 knots, 19 knots, 28 knots. 19, 15, 22. Where the hell is this supposed hurricane, guys? We don't see it on radar, and he just showed us we don't see it. We just don't see it. There's supposed to be a hurricane that's going to be blitzing Louisiana right now. It's right outside the door. Right outside the door, you guys. And look at NOAA doesn't have one stinking buoy. These are all the buoys in the water. These are all the measurements that the world actually uses to measure the weather in the Gulf of Mexico. How come we don't have any wind speeds even close? Remember, the wind speeds have to be in knots. It has to be 90 miles an hour. For it to be 90 miles an hour, it would have to be 78 knots. We weren't even seeing anything close to that. The highest one I think we saw on that entire image was 40, and 40 knots would be 46 miles an hour. So we're half. We're half, okay? But let's take a peek at what's happened over Cuba today. This is what's been happening in Cuba. Now, don't think that our meteorologists have missed this, guys. Okay, the storm did not exist all day. This is the Yucatan Peninsula, which was supposedly destroyed by rain and this horrible tropical storm Nate. Go through. It wasn't even raining in Cancun over the last 24 hours. Okay, I do another video from earlier today. I'm not going to go through all that with you right now, but you've got to take a peek and see what we're letting Cuba do. And it's not just Cuba. We are the ones who are running this show in Cuba. So I don't know. Maybe this is to set Cuba up as a patsy creating these storms. I don't know. But they reported that Irma was going all the way through the Caribbean, and it was actually formed right over Cuba the day before it hit Florida. So let's take a peek here on Intellicast again. We see this storm. There's clearly a storm here, guys, but this storm has been here all day. Go back to the other videos and you'll see. Let's take a peek at what happens if we superimpose the NASA cartoon, and oh my, look, there suddenly we have an eye. You know, the NASA cartoon never matches this. You go through my last 30 days worth of videos tracking these hurricanes and you'll see this is not a hurricane. Now, I have no idea what's happening. If you watch, he talks about water spouts here, which is a little creepy. So I'm going to have to hope I can cue this up here, but I'll put a link in the description to this video if this is it. So hang tight with me. If you guys are interested in water spouts, hang on while I let this queue up. And my computer is just dying. I'm sorry, you guys, I can't do this. But there is a water spout supposedly somewhere, and I'm going to probably have to shut this video off because, let's see. All right, I'm going to let it play out here.
It's making their way in. The first batch moved through the area. We're going to get in closer, but we're already starting to see now water spouts. This is
water spouts. Water spouts. This thing says
taken from around Orange Beach. That's near Gulf Shores, Alabama, which did.
Okay, so water spouts. I don't know what these have to do with anything, but I thought it was worth queuing this up and showing you guys. So hopefully this information helps you, and we'll get to the bottom of this eventually.